Hello everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a tile entity. So we're going to start giving some functions to our blocks. What are tile entities? Tile entities are blocks which can do stuff. So they can store stuff in them, they can change the world and stuff like that. That stuff that normal blocks can't do. So let's get started on the tile entities. If I open up the website, our website, then that is, so I have exactly the same code in the video as in the text tutorial. So if I do that, sorry for that. Firstly, we're gonna make a new block. We're gonna call that Smasher because that's the tile entity that we're gonna make in a few tutorials. So this will be a little serious about how to make a machine. So that Smasher is a new Smasher. And we're just gonna create a very basic block for now, like that. Delete this. Okay, and we're gonna alter this a little bit, like that. And we're gonna import block, not the Minecraft block. Just like that. Create a constructor. Public Smasher takes no materials. We're gonna say super material dot rock. That. We're also gonna say set unlocalized set block name, set creative tab tab block, and game registry dot register block. This command name, private string name is Smasher. And because we also need a string to register the tile entity with, we also need a public static string public name. Now we're gonna have an error, so let's make this a private name. Like that. Okay, so since we want to make a tile entity, we want to implement tile entity provider, and we're going to implement a method that we need. So we need to create new tile entity. This takes two parameters, a world and a meta, and we're going to return a new tile entity Smasher, like that. Also, one thing we need to do is override another method called has tile entity, and you want to make sure you get the one with a metadata because that other one is deprecated, and you want to return true. Return true, like that. So let's now create the tile entity, and I usually do that in a package called tile entities, like that. Okay, so this thing, like that. So in this tile entity, let me quickly see what I've done here. Yeah. So to give this tile entity some function, we're gonna say, okay, update entity, and this happens every tick. So anything that happens in this method happens every tick. And I'm just gonna make something that changes the world time for now. So if the world is remote exclamation mark, then we want to say, okay, we got a tick if tick is equal to 100. World object world object dot sets time 1000, something like that. Just like this. Private int tick is 0. Private int tick is 0. Okay, so what does this do? Sorry that I didn't speak too much. So this checks what how many ticks have passed, and if 100 ticks have passed, aka 5 seconds, I will reset the world time. It will reset the world time to 1000 ticks. So that's just a little functionality that we have in our Eternity. So the next thing we need to do is create proxies. And the good question, what are proxies? Proxies are basically the bridge, well, the separation I should say, between server and client. So we have the server, which handles all the world transformation, placing of blocks, breaking of blocks, time management and stuff like that. And we have the client, which handles all the fancy stuff like particles and textures and stuff like that. And there are some things that we need to register on a specific side, and that is what proxies are for. So we're gonna say, okay, in our main mod file we're gonna say, okay, add sided proxy, and the client side is gonna be constant client proxy, and the server side is gonna be constants. Come on, proxy, and we're gonna make a public static come on proxy object, just like that. So it's gonna throw some errors, yes we know, because we need to make a field called client proxy in our constants. So the client proxy is basically the location of where your proxy is located. So right now I'll make a new package called proxy, and I'll make a new class called client proxy. So this is basically the location of the client proxy, and we're just gonna type that in. So com.orange tutorial orange.proxy.client proxy. Also public static final string. Come on, proxy. That's gonna be in the same location. So com.orange tutorial orange.proxy.come on proxy, and make sure your capitalization is right. So we're also gonna make a Java class come on proxy. Now the trick is that you want to make client proxy extend common proxy, like that. Cool, so now we have two proxies, and what we want to do first is create a new method in the common proxy called public void register tile entities. So this method is going to register all the tile entities for us. So game registry.register tile entities. So this needs a tile entity class, which is tile entities measure.class, and a string ID, which is going to be tile entity let's use this measure.name. Yeah, or not. No, we don't want to do that. So we're just gonna make a public string name is tile entities measure, just like that. Go back to the common proxy. Okay, so I did something wrong in the entity public static string. So there we go. Now last thing we need to do is import this, and in the initialization we need to call proxy.register tile entities. So let's go over what we did. We created a proxy, which is the separation for client and server. So all the textures and particles things go on the client, and all the registries, tile entities, stuff like that goes in the common proxy. Now we made a new block called Smasher, and we created the Smasher class, which has the basic stuff, and two methods called create new tile entity and has tile entity. This makes sure that Forge knows that it has a tile entity, and this creates a new tile entity when you place it in the world. And therefore we need to implement a tile entity provider. So we created that tile entity. We made a private integer value called tick. So every update of the entity, we're going to check if you're on the remote, if you're not on the remote side. And if you're not, we're going to increase the tick, and if the tick reaches 100, which is equal to 5 seconds, we're going to change the world time a bit and reset the tick value. So that's it for Towndities. I'll show you how it looks like in real life, in the world. In the next tutorial we will be covering how to give this tile entity some functionality, so we're gonna create a GUI. I'm very certain a lot of you will be pleased to see how this needs to be done. But for now we're gonna show this. So after the GUI we're also gonna make an inventory, and yeah, you know, just to fancy stuff. Entity Smasher. So let's check the world. So the sun is right there, and after 5 seconds it goes back down. So that's how you make a Townity. Now this is not what you want to do. Usually you don't want to create something that changes the world time like this, but for demonstration purposes it was alright. Now the next time GUIs, so hopefully I'll see them.